have a genetic mutation, which was inherited from my grandmother who died of breast cancer.
When you were diagnosed, like, how did that affect the way you look at life and the future?
At first, it was like I wanted to do all the things. I wanted to travel. I wanted to keep surfing big waves, and the bigger, the better. And I did in my first remission. I went from doing that in 2023 to, at the moment, I can't surf at all because I have so much fluid building up in my lung. Where I'm getting to is a point that, like, I have to plan for the future, for the probable statistical future, while still living life surrendered and living for today. But what that means for my son is there's a high likelihood he's not going to be raised all the way into adulthood by me. How do you live when you know time is short?
Hey guys, welcome to the Conscious Flow podcast. We're your hosts, Kevin and Marley.
Hey guys.
Today our guest is Melanie Ezell. We're super excited to have a conversation with you today. And Mel, can you give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Sure. I am a surfer living here on the North Shore of Oahu, and I'm an author. I'm also a stage 4 cancer survivor of about almost 4 years now. 3 occurrences, and my best and most favorite title is Mama.
Yeah, you have one of the, I think, one of the coolest groms growing up on the island here.
I mean, I think so too, but I am a little biased.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's named after a famous surfer, right?
He is, yeah. His name is Velzy, and he's named after Dale Velzy, who was kind of the first commercial surfboard shaper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's super cool. What inspired you to name him after?
His dad is a surfboard shaper as well, and we just knew we wanted something related to surfing, and we also kind of felt we wanted a last name for a first name, so that's where we went.
Awesome.
It was between that and Brewer for Dick Brewer, but I felt like he might be always brewing up a storm, and it turned out he probably would have been a really good brewer too.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems very high energy.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, I've read some of your book, Inherited. I didn't end up finishing it because I actually gave it to someone while I was in Washington State.
Oh, good thing I brought you a copy today.
Yeah. So, and it's called Inherited, which is incredible. Like, the name just drew me in immediately. And I just felt like it was super well written.
Thank you.
Yeah. And just the way I actually would read the parts where you described surfing out loud to Kevin because I knew he would appreciate it.
Yeah, like when we were at the beach, she would read me, she'd just read to me parts of your big wave surfing stuff that you were describing.
Yeah. I loved writing about that stuff. It was tricky because I knew my audience would be some surfers, but a lot of non-surfers. So I had to like really explain a lot of the lingo without over-explaining it. But I really wanted people to come into that experience with me, and not just the surfing experiences, but like all of the experiences, like the crying on the bathroom floor at 2 a.m. and trying to get through chemo brain fog and what that really feels like from inside of my body. That was really the goal for all of that. Yeah. No, it was super raw, and just I found it incredible to read because it was like turning something so intense into something really beautiful, and like and just the way you wrote about everything, it was like captivating, but it was also like took you into like the deepest parts of yourself, it seemed like. And this book was really an excavation for me. It was a personal project. I've written books in the past and sort of published them, and not a lot came from them, never tried too hard. So then when it came time for this one, I knew that it couldn't be about the success or failure of the book. It had to be an internal project. Like, you need to make art for yourself first. And so what my goal was really to excavate the root cause of my cancer. And that's why I chose the name Inherited, because I have a genetic mutation, which was inherited from my grandmother who died of breast cancer. and passed down through my father and to me. And from my understanding of genetics and epigenetics, you have genes in your body, but that is not your future. The genes are like a loaded gun, but then your environment pulls the trigger to actually activate those genes. So it's your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, your toxic load, both mental, spiritual, physical. It's what you put in your body. It's how you move throughout your day. So then the question became for me, if I pulled the trigger, how can I stop pulling the trigger? How can I let my hands off of the gun? So I really wanted to dig deep into my unconscious patterning and my unconscious inheritance, because a fish doesn't know it's wet. So I wanted to figure out, what does water feel like around me, and then I can make a choice. Do I want to stay in this environment, or is there a better way to live? And so that was really the writing process for me, was really about stepping outside and looking down on my life with a broader view, while at the same time really pulling out what was going on inside. So that was a challenging and worthwhile project.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I wrote a book too about probably like the darkest time in my life. And so I know that it's like painful to write, but it also, I'm curious, like, was that like a healing process for you to write about too, to be able to like put it into words from that broader perspective?
Yeah, there was some healing that came certainly through writing, just like very cathartic, of just like getting out stuck energy. And then the biggest healing part was in the editing process, which was a real surprise for me, because I wrote it, as I said, as a personal project. But then I went back and thought, okay, I want to publish this. I'm proud of this, and I want people to read it. And then I realized people were going to read it. And I was like, specifically the people in the book are going to read it. And then I'm going, well, have I represented them fairly?
Yeah.
Or is this just like a raging divorce book about how cruel my ex was to me? Or like a pissed off daughter of a controlling mother? Like, I didn't want it to be that. I wanted to see, like, if I can forgive myself and not hold shame about who and what I am, can I also hold those people to the same level of forgiveness and go, you know what? Maybe they weren't doing me dirty. Maybe they were just doing the best they could. So I had to look back at all of these interactions that I had now cataloged over 300 pages of with these people that I really didn't understand how resentful I was toward them.
Wow.
And really go, wait, when she said that, and then my next sentence that I wrote was, she said it from malice and spite. Like, did she?
Right.
Or did she say that because she wanted what was best for me, and that was her way of communicating it?
Yeah.
So that part was that part was eye-opening and humbling and healing, so healing. The last chapter of the book, I don't want to give it away, but it's just a profound forgiveness experience. Profound, out-of-body forgiveness experience.
I got to get to that part.
Wow. And had you journaled prior to writing the book? Did you journal about your experiences, or were you just recalling them from
So
memory?
I went through a big box, maybe 2 boxes even, of journals as I was writing, from about 8th grade until pretty much up to the present. I've always kept a journal, and that was definitely helpful. And a lot of it was, more recently, I had kept a private blog that only a few of my friends ever read. And so that was really more like journaling, because I wasn't writing it for any audience. It was just like, blah, what's coming out of me. I wasn't even really editing it. And that actually turned out to be really helpful, because I was like, oh, that was more during the cancer story itself. So I could look back and be like, oh, that's really how I felt. Yeah. And then, of course, some of it is based on memory, for sure.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense. Wow. Okay. I mean, that's like how it worked for me too. Like when you write a journal, because I journaled too, and that really helps to like when you're writing a memoir to have like the things that happened in the past. But also I noticed that like in the journal segments that I have from my past, it was like super emotional and super intense. And then like looking back, you're like, okay, yeah, you're able to kind of like take more of a bird's eye view and be like, okay, yeah, but like what were both sides of the situation? And yeah, that's really interesting that that was your experience too.
I didn't realize when I was reading my journals, like from high school, how hard life felt for me then. Every entry was like hating my life, hating my parents, so depressed, feeling like I had no friends. Like that was a brutal time for me. And I had completely forgotten about it. Like just tucked that away in a corner.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that was really, that kind of excavation, it's hard to get to that in like talk therapy.
Right.
It's hard to hit all the nooks and crannies, but something like writing a memoir, you got to leave no stone unturned.
Yeah. And you're right. Like, how is this going to impact the people that you write about? That's huge.
And specifically my son, who's 6 years old. And I was 2 when he was diagnosed. So he's only has memories of me with cancer. And I'm currently on a treatment that there's like one chemo that works for this particular type of cancer. And the more you get it, the more your body builds up resistance to it. And so I've had it 3 times. And right now I'm in my 3rd line of treatment. Well, I'm in my 5th line of treatment. 2 have failed. And then we brought back, they call it the big guns, this one called carboplatin that works. So I'm on my 3rd time getting this, and then the numbers are not falling as quickly as we want them to. And so there's question like, what happens when this treatment stops working? And then we have like clinical trials and frontier medicine, and we have faith, and we have prayer, and we have all the things. Where I'm getting to is a point that like I have to plan for the future, for the probable statistical future, while still living life surrendered and living for today. But what that means for my son is there's a high likelihood he's not going to be raised all the way into adulthood by me. And so this book, while I wrote it for myself, I also had him in mind, because it does talk a lot about his dad and about our relationship. Like that's the biggest relationship in there is with me and his father, and how I looked at that relationship as this like microcosm of this big thing that is my life. And so the problems in my life were really manifesting in that relationship. And I wanted to be fair to my son's father as much as I could. That was a big eye-opener to go back and go through. My son is going to read this when he's 16 or 18, and that might be his, biggest, the biggest thing that I'm leaving to him in order to remember me. And how do I want him to remember me and his father? How do I want to portray his father? While still being honest to who and what his father is. I didn't want to hide the fact that his father has his own demons. But yeah, that definitely was very eye-opening to me as well. Okay, like other people are going to be affected by this.
Right. I think that's a really smart thing to do, to write a book and have that like as a income source too for your family. And like actually Marley and I, we often will discuss like what would we do with our life if we had a year left to live, and we like, what exactly would we be doing? And for the most part, we would pretty much be doing, I think, what we're doing, because we've actually changed our life a lot. And over the last 2 years, we moved to Hawaii. We're living our dream life, and we're at the beach, enjoying life. And so my question to you is like, when you were diagnosed, like how did that affect the way you look at life and the future? And
yeah. That's a great question. In so many ways. One thing in regard to my son and legacy for him is I started an email address for him that he doesn't know about. and left the password, with some relatives so they can give it to him down the road. But I will often like voice note him something and email it, or write him a letter and email it, or send a little video and email it. So he'll have all of this stuff from me. He can hear my voice. Like I've recorded my favorite bedtime songs and things like that. But more specifically to your point of like, how do you live when you know time is short? At first it was like I wanted to do all the things. I wanted to travel. I wanted to keep surfing big waves, and the bigger the better. And I did in my first remission. I got my biggest wave I've ever caught was after my first, it was in the fall of 2023 when I was diagnosed in 22. And so it was like a very carpe diem kind of.
Where was that at?
At Waimea.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like this choppy, not so good day, but the crowd was light. Okay. So I was able to get some good waves that day.
And do you know how big it was?
Yeah, for me it's not that, like, for me it's big, but for like a big wave surfer, not that big. Was probably in that 12 to 15 foot range that day.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's pretty big.
So that's the Hawaiian measurement, right? So then the back.
Okay.
So that's the back side of the wave. So the front side of the wave is like
triple that, or double?
It's double that. Okay. So somewhere between 25 and 30 feet.
That's really big to me. Like, if I saw that, I'd be like, oh my God, that's insane.
I think the really hard part for me is like I never got to where I wanted to get with surfing. And I think we all face this in life where like it's that idea of over the hill, like you're crescendoing, and then your body starts to sort of break down, right? And you have to, and it's usually a very slow process, and you have these little micro deaths along the way. And all of that got sped up for me, like really fast. I went from doing that in 2023 to, at the moment, I can't surf at all because I have so much fluid building up in my lung. My breathing is really short. I was in the ER last week because I couldn't stop coughing.
Oh, man.
It's been a fast process, 3 years of really watching my body decline and having to make friends with that process. Yeah. And so my mindset has it's shifted in this really beautiful way that I never expected, to go and do an experience, to like a wideness of experience to a depth of experience. Like now I want to wring as much juice out of every present moment as possible. And I don't even, like my best friend's like, we got to travel, we got to see Europe. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to spend a whole day on an airplane and like not be with my kid.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we talked about. We were like, would we travel? And
we'd be like, I don't think I'd get on a single plane.
Yeah, spend a whole day traveling, and that's a day
I'd
gone.
rather just spend an hour packing beach supplies and post up at Waimea for the day and swim with dolphins and jump the jump rock and be with my keiki and like take videos of him everywhere he goes.
Yeah, and like there's so much beauty just here. I mean, there's so much. I feel like people sometimes are like, oh, I got island fever, I'm bored. And I'm like, if you're bored, you're not being present. Like, you're not really experiencing what's here, because it's something else. Entirely.
I had an ex-boyfriend who would say, only stupid, unintelligent people get bored. Well, I find that a little bit harsh. I like the concept of, like, if you're bored, like, open your eyes. There's something to do. And even now, I'm even getting to the point, my entire family lives in Michigan, and they're super supportive, and it's a really wonderful network that they have in Michigan. They all live close to each other. They have meals together. My parents have like kind of a family compound with like farm equipment and tools and whatever you might need. Yeah. It's communal living. And as much as I love it here in Hawaii and I don't want to leave, even that is sounding good to me. Like this very simple of like, there's someone to watch my child when I don't feel good enough. And when I do feel good enough, there's something that I can contribute. And it's a really beautiful, slow way of living. Even when the sky is gray, like 9 months out of the year, there's snow on the ground, like there's no ocean. there's something about just the people that you love and being supported and to be able to be of service. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd get to this point, and while I still mourn never getting a 20-foot wave, I don't need it.
Right.
Yeah. I'm okay.
Wow. You seem very at peace. Would you say that? Like,
yeah, along with scared out of my mind. You know, I've had to really hold like
totally
fear, grief, joy, and peace. Like those have been like some of my bigger feelings through this whole thing. And I tend to find when one comes on, they all come on at the same time. So the deepest of grief can also be like the highest of joy in a super strange way.
I totally get that.
Like it's combined into one feeling almost.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I just remember the day I was diagnosed, sitting in front of the hospital with my best friend, and I just like held her hand, and we were just weeping. Like, what does this mean? And then at the same time, everything in life, like all the colors, the feeling of my hair in the wind, it was like everything. Maybe I was seeing in black and white before, and all of a sudden I was seeing in color. A whole new dimension opened up to me that was only available from that deep grief.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost like it maybe brings you like super present to like face everything. Like when something really intense happens like that, like a diagnosis, or even like someone close to you maybe passes away, it seems like those kinds of things can like force you deep in the present moment, like right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, emotions are energy in motion. It's energy in our body. Like there's something in your body, right? It's not just in your head. It's a very embodied feeling. So when it is that strong, like, sorry, you're sitting still. Like, you're going into it. You don't have a choice. I've been going through that.
Yeah.
Even with pain recently, something about having had so much treatment. I've been on some form of chemo or another for over 2 years now. And the pain levels in my body can get pretty bad. And there are nights where I just feel like I'm just surfing waves of pain. I'm just like, I'm so in pain. There's nothing that can be done, and there's no escaping it. So it's like, I remember this one day, I was going to go surf at sunset, and this guy looked at me and he goes, well, there's a big storm coming in, and the waves are going to get huge and sloppy in about 30 minutes. So if you're going to go get your waves and come back in. And I kind of was like, no, I looked at the forecast. I like didn't believe him. And sure enough, it got like super sloppy and scary and just like wild. And at that point, the rip going out is insane. Like, you can't just go into the channel and paddle in where there's no waves breaking. Your only option for coming in is to let the waves push you in. And so you either catch a wave, hopefully, because if you don't catch a wave, you're just getting tossed. I mean, it was definitely like 8 feet. So that's like 15, 16 feet faces on the waves. So they were big and significant, and long hold downs and possible injuries if you got thrown over the falls. And I just remember like, okay, you surf these waves or you die. Like, that is your option. You're going to drop in on a wave that is bigger than you want to ride and also sloppy in horrible conditions. It's really dangerous. It's bouncy. Everything about it is going to feel wrong to you, and you're going to feel terrified. But the only way that you're going to get through this is to surf. And that's how I feel when the pain levels get that high, is like, I'm just feeling the pain. Okay, where is the pain in my body located? What does it look like? What does it taste like? What does it sound like? And then it stops, and then another wave starts, and that's what we're doing now.
Right. So it's like, yeah, so do you actually like visually see it, like you're in these giant waves almost when you're like dealing with all this pain?
I just try to go into the energy of that pain.
Okay.
Like I'll go into a meditative space and I'll just feel the energy of that pain. I'll imagine that I'm inside the pain. Like I'm just a point of consciousness inside this ocean of pain. And I just try and experience it. I just go, okay, what do you have for me? Let's go. Let's just have an experience.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I was really getting into your sunset story there because I know like how.
I got surf stories.
Yeah. I mean, I know how powerful the waves are. Like the tallest I've surfed at sunset is like head high, but the power is just really intense and it's shallow and there's the reef. And so, like, that must have been terrifying.
I have this love affair with sunset. Sunset is the scariest place I've ever surfed. It's very shifty, and you can think you're in a really safe place, and then a set comes that swings wide, and you're like paddling for the hills, you know, as fast as you can.
From the shore, I can see that, and I'm like, wow, the people out there, I'm like, is this as scary for them as it is for me just watching on shore? Like,
I think it's about your comfort level. I know when I learned to surf at 27, 28, so I was older and I didn't grow up in the ocean. So I didn't have any level of comfort. And I remember when I was just first learning to surf, my boyfriend at the time was like, hey, it's stormy conditions. Let's just go swim. So we got swim fins and we were just diving under choppy waves. And this is in SoCal. And in SoCal, the waves are like a fraction of the power because they have a continental shelf there. So it's like the waves hit a speed bump when they come in. So it's not like the North Shore kind of power, at least at this specific beach it wasn't. And I just remember diving under these waves and we got out maybe 100 yards. And I was crying. I was like, I'm so scared. I gotta go in. And he was totally calm, just like, what are you talking about? We gotta go in. So like we go in, and he's like, there's no crying and surfing. I was like, yes, there is. And then later, I think that same year, we came out here to Hawaii on a vacation, me and the same guy. And we were surfing at Kamiland, which you've got Sunset Beach, the Channel, and then Kamiland. Kamiland is definitely the friendly version of Sunset. They're both rights, but Kami's is always like, just, I don't know, it's so much more gentle. So we went out there and I was still learning and I caught a wave and felt all excited. And then I caught a second wave and just totally pearled and got, held under and threw the washing machine. I went back in the channel and I was crying and he's like, do you want to paddle to the peak and sit by me? And I was like, no. He's like, do you want me to sit in the channel with you? No. Do you want me to paddle in with you? No. I was so overwhelmed to go from that to like little by little improving their comfort zone to the point where like at one point like 6 to 8 feet at sunset was like, it's just so fun because I was scared, but not so scared that like I had to control my breathing.
Right.
I got really happy at that size, but then I would go out at 8 to 10 feet, and that's for sure like you have your game face on, like you're going to battle and you're hyper vigilant, which is fun.
Right.
But also, I feel like I've changed so much since getting cancer. I feel like that's a very like masculine, which is great. We all have masculine and feminine in us, but that like I'm going to battle. I am here to do a job and I am going to override my nervous system and I am just going to be in command of my body. It was just like, if I'm talking about a man who's like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, really? But after getting cancer, I really had to like really soften and really embody more of my feminine side. And so now it's like when I surf, I love longboarding. I love like shoulder high waves where I can dance on my board and I don't have to be scared. And a lot of my life has shifted in that way to where it's like, I can really be soft. I don't like the book is a good example where it was like, I got to solve this. I got to fix myself. I got to change things to like, maybe I just need to surrender and soften and really like sink into my hips a little bit,
Right. Yeah.
It's hard to describe because I'm not fully there.
Yeah.
I think it's like the masculine values in our culture are so celebrated. Like if you can be a badass woman who's like girl bossing her way to the top, that's like, yeah, you go, girl. And if that's what you want to do, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. But this like, woman who just wants to be with her kids all day, and that's really like her ambition, like, that's great, but that's not like what you're seeing on Instagram.
No, totally. That's so true.
Yeah, so it's hard to embody these values that never seemed valuable to me in the past.
Right. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. It's so true. I feel like there's so much programming to, be in that masculine energy. And I feel like generally, like, the female body is, like, made to be in more of the feminine energy.
So I have ovarian cancer, right? So it's my feminine organs. And it makes a lot of sense if you're not using your feminine organs will say, peace out, you don't need me. Right. So that's been a big exploration for me, and it's just this like recent, within the last month, that I made this choice to homeschool my son, because I've always had this like almost subconscious envy of those moms who are just being mom. Like, they just have their kids and they quit their whole lives. So like, they were maybe like girl bossing it to the top, but then they just were like, no, I don't feel like doing that anymore. I just want to be a stay-at-home mom with my kids. And like, they don't go, oh, the waves are good, I really should be out there right now, but I have this baby in my arms and it's such a burden, and poor me. Like, that was me for the first few years. Like, oh, my husband's not supporting me, so I gotta work, and he's not giving me my turn to surf because he's out surfing. And it was always this like, I almost didn't even want to look at the waves or the surf report because I'd get so antsy, like, oh, this sucks, I can't be out there, I have to be with my kid. It's just me being honest, Totally. But I saw these other moms that were like, one woman, she is a pro surfer, and she just didn't surf while her kids were little. Now she surfs that her kids are big enough to go out with her. Another woman, a really good longboarder, and she's just like, no, I don't care about it right now. And I was like, how? Show me how. And really, cancer gave me that gift. And last year he was in kindergarten, and it was great. I surfed for like the first time in 5 years. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it. And I just decided this year, for many reasons, but mostly because our time is short and he really needs his mom, that I'm going to homeschool him. And not to say there's not going to be days when the waves are perfect and I'm going to be like, ugh.
Well, it adds a whole nother like layer to surfing, because not only you have to like get to a certain time in your life where you have the time to go surfing, a certain day of the week or something. And then also the waves have to be good. So it's not just the waves have to be good, but you have to line it up with, are you watching your kid at that point? Right. And so, but actually I was homeschooled growing up.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, my mom homeschooled my two other siblings and me. And so, she was a stay-at-home mom. She did an awesome homeschool curriculum. And we actually lived on a sailboat, too, for part of that time.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. But being homeschooled, I think, was, like, the best thing, like, she could have done for me.
Wow.
I think. And because I ended up going to public school when my parents got divorced. When I was in high school, I went to while they were sorting out the divorce, she didn't have time to homeschool us. So I went to my freshman year of high school, and I was like, oh, my gosh, this place is like... It was like this whole foreign thing. All the other kids were so used to it, right? But for me, it was like, it looked like this prison, and you have all these rules. And then I actually went back to homeschool. I was like, please homeschool me then for 10th grade. And she did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I started to notice was that my son has a lot of like ADHD kind of qualities. Not that he's ever been diagnosed or that he needs to get diagnosed, but he was one of the youngest in his grade, and I noticed he would come home almost with this sense of shame, like, because it was really hard for him to be there for 6.5 hours and not act out.
We've been drinking the most deeply hydrating water out of this machine.
Hydrating water? What's that?
It's called Kangen Water. and it gives a negative charge to the water through these platinum titanium dipped plates. And it also restructures the water into smaller molecules so that your body is more able to absorb it. So if you drink like tap water, it kind of just sits in your stomach. But this water, you can feel it just getting absorbed into your body.
Yeah, so I've had my Kangen machine for about 5 years. It's literally the only water that I will drink. We are 70% water, and so when you change the water that you drink, you change the whole foundation of your entire body. We believe in Kangen water so much. You can learn more about Kangen water in the link below. Back to the episode. I was not homeschooled, and I feel like there's a lot of pieces of it that maybe were good because I was part of a lot of extracurricular activities and all of that. But then there's also parts where it just, gosh, it felt like I was kind of taught to hate learning. Like it was just boring, and I just thought that I didn't like learning, but really like the way we were being taught just wasn't resonating with me. It wasn't exciting. And it wasn't until I was like out of college that I was like, oh wait, I actually like to learn. I just like to learn about certain things. Right. And I feel like talking to Kevin about homeschooling and just seeing how he is, I'm like, wow, you are very like unplugged from all this societal programming that I've had to like deprogram. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if I can put to words how I've been programmed, but I just look at Kevin and I'm like, oh, he's like, he doesn't care as much what people think of him. He hasn't had this like intense social dynamic that I feel like you experience when you're in school. There's just, I guess there's positives and negatives.
Absolutely. I know one of the biggest criticisms of homeschooling is like, aren't you worried that your kid is going to not be socialized well? And like, honestly, my response to that is, I pray to God he's not socialized well. Like, I don't want him to be like everybody else. Like, I want him to be weird, like a little bit off to everyone. Yeah. Like, those people are geniuses. And I think that the biggest thing, because I did want to go to public school. I'm a very social person. And I wanted, like, I remember going there to, like, do some standardized testing or something, like going to the school building and seeing the posters on the wall for like, robotics club and debate team. And I was like, what? I want to do this stuff. But I think the biggest thing that I got from homeschooling is the ability to teach myself. Because it wasn't, my mom was not the teacher. Like, we had books and we had to learn from them. And then we had to do stuff with that knowledge. We had to demonstrate that knowledge with real world stuff. And so I learned how to learn. And I learned to appreciate learning, and I learned self-discipline rather than like discipline from the top down, like intrinsic motivation. And I have, like I said, I'm one of 5, and we all but one sibling went to trade school, but 4 of us graduated from college with honors, and 2 of us have master's degrees. So it wasn't like, even though our education was spotty and there were gaps, we knew what we needed to know to get through anything. Right. And, I really, with my son, AI is changing everything so quickly. So by the time he's an adult, these learning facts and figures and even math, like a lot of math, like you don't need to know that. What you need to know is how to get the information, like how to ask a good question. Because you can ask AI a shit question and you're going to get a shit answer. Right. But if you can really work with it, if you can learn to use the tools that are available to you, then you can build a lot of things. And so that's really my goal for him, is more of like following his interests and providing him with the tools that he needs so he can be curious and fostering lifelong curiosity.
Right. Yeah. I think that was like the biggest thing with school, like in general in high school, I noticed was everyone there was like, kind of like, I don't want to be here right now. And it was like forced upon, you have to be here, instead of it being, let's have fun and like, let's learn about these cool things. And yeah, I don't know, maybe there's other ways to teach in schools, but yeah.
I feel like that is like the way, if you feel like that in school, like I don't want to be here right now, that sets you up to feel like, well, that's what life is. I don't want to be here right now.
Yeah. And like I shouldn't, like no one wanted, it was kind of like I felt like I was learning like how can I just get a good grade on a test, but then I'd forget everything immediately. And it wasn't like learning. It was just how can I work the system and then not actually take this wisdom in and process it and like become wiser.
I think that's like it translates into how you live your life then, because then you're, well, how can I work this system to make as much as I can with doing as little as possible so that I can have my 2 days free on the weekend and go, drink or whatever it is that you do to forget about how much you hate your life so you can go back and do it again. And
Totally.
like, no wonder we have epidemic levels of depression and anxiety. And I mean, we have so many good teachers, and my son was with a really good teacher, but I just don't think that like training and the system in general, the administration, can support our teachers to keep up with AI and the way that kids really do. Like the whole system needs an overhaul if it's going to work for our kids.
Right.
Now you can probably use AI for like doing your homework and then
totally.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like the biggest thing that helped my social skills while being homeschooled, because I grew up in Washington and it's pretty cold there, so you can be kind of cooped up inside. And so it's not like here where you can be around people at the beach.
Yeah.
But I think what helped me was I started going to the skateboard park, after my homeschooling. And that was my way to like interact with other kids. And that's where I developed my social skills, was at the skate park. So all my social skills are like down to I credit the skate park.
Okay, but don't you think skating is so good for kids?
It's super good. Yeah. Yeah. I think once you get to be like, closer to like 16 or 17 or 18, when your body starts to get heavier, then it's not good. But like when you're 8 or 9, 10 years old, like
when the fall is not so far.
It's not so far and you don't weigh as much. But socially, like I think it's a really good place. But also like here you have surfing and the beach, and so your kids are able to be a lot more social.
I just see when I take Velzy to the skate park, okay, for one, you have people of all ages there. So he has to learn to like respect the adults. He has to like learn from the older kids. But for two, like it's hard and it hurts and it's like takes a lot of perseverance to get it. Like a lot of coordination. You're learning so many physical skills, mental skills. You're overcoming your fear. And he is one who gives up easily. Like if he doesn't get it in the first try, he's like, I'm done. But to see him like stick to it, and little by little, like he dropped in, like he made it, he dropped into the bowl, and then the confidence on his face, and like he's telling everybody, and like I just feel like skateboarding is this amazing microcosm that teaches kids everything you need to know about the world. It's like some Zen master or something.
Wow. I love that. Wow. Okay, I don't mean to like change the subject here because this is really good. I have like thoughts about some things in your book that just came to my mind, and one of the things was just about the church. You talked a lot about the church and how it like was like programmed you, and since we're talking about like homeschooling, I'm trying to remember what you wrote in your book, but you went to church on a regular basis?
Yeah, I think that the religion was like the impetus for the homeschooling, because my parents wanted to keep us away from like those worldly influences. Yeah. And so we were very evangelical. The particular sect of Protestant was called United Brethren, similar to Baptist, but it was, church at least twice a week, if not 3 or 4 times. And then that was like our full social life as well. Was with the kids at the church and youth group, and I played in the worship band, and I was teaching kids Sunday school when I was in high school. It was our lives. That's
gotcha.
what we did.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And then you kind of talked about like the eating disorder and like what they taught in the church and how it maybe like impacted how you felt in your body.
So one of the very, I don't know if dangerous is the right word, but let's just go with that. One of the more dangerous doctrines that type of religion presents is this idea of original sin. And I think that for me, what that means now is that the world is broken and you're born perfect, but you're born into a mess. And so you're going to have to learn. And the process of learning means making mistakes. You're not going to get it right every time. And so maybe that's what they were meaning when they said the word sin, but that's not what I was hearing. Okay. And so it wasn't ever explained well or presented well to me. And maybe their concept is the concept that I understood. That was like, you're bad, you're broken, you're evil, you're filth in God's nostrils. And the only thing good about you is if you ask Jesus into your heart, and then Jesus is the good thing that's in you. You're still a piece of shit. That's what I heard. That's what I received. Right. And that's what I embodied. And so that kind of, it traveled into my young adult life. There was this whole purity culture of like the minute you let a boy go up your shirt, you might as well just throw your future away, just go be a prostitute living on the streets or something. That's the kind of person that you are now. And so I think I really wanted that man and that provider, and I wanted to be in my feminine, but like I totally rebelled. I was like, I'm going to be masculine. I'm not going to need anything. And at some point I realized that I needed attention. Like it was the attention from men that was like, it needed to fill this hole inside of me. That was like this broken part of me. And so I needed to like make myself as attractive as possible so I could get as much attention from men as possible. And that really led to restrictive eating, which the restrictive eating led to too much weight loss. And then that led to bulimia. And yeah, it was a mess for several years. And it took a complete rebellion against that sinful nature concept to heal from my eating disorder. Because what I decided to do after so much therapy and books and 12-step programs, I finally decided, okay, intuitive eating. And intuitive eating means that you make a choice to trust your body. Your body's not bad. It's not broken. In fact, if your body is sending you a signal for hunger, that's the same as if it's sending you a signal that you need to pee or whatever. It's a signal that your body physiologically needs something. And so I decided to eat. And I had a few rules. It was eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, and eat as much as you want of whatever it is that you want. And so for months I lived on cookies. And I gained weight. I gained a lot of weight. And then my body was like, ew, I don't want cookies. And one day I woke up and I wanted rice and broccoli.
Wow.
And I only wanted it once. I didn't want to eat the rest of the day. And I was like, I trust it. And
yeah.
I kept trusting it. And then my body came back to like a homeostasis, which has been pretty easy to maintain through intuitive eating. And now, like, my body is in such a nice homeostasis that, like, yeah, of course I eat cookies. I love cookies, but I don't need them every day. And I mostly just want, like, really healthy whole foods. So, and if my weight goes up a little bit, then my appetite drops. And if my weight goes down a little bit, I get hungry and the weight comes back on. So it really was that switch of like, I'm not broken, I'm actually perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It took a lot of work to get there.
Totally.
But like,
yeah,
I'm so happy that I can share that story because I think that is so there's so much damage done with that concept because it's not taught well. Like I said, I still believe in that. Like I still believe, yeah, sin is just another name for like missing the mark. Like we're in a learning process.
Right.
But I can't use that word anymore because that word is so loaded. Like, ooh, sin. No.
Yeah. Like there's just so much heaviness around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like it's hard to, that makes sense that, yeah, changing the word changes the vibe for sure. And wow. I want to, like, I love what you talked about with the intuitive eating too, and just like letting yourself eat what you craved, and that it just kind of naturally like came into balance. I wonder, like, I feel like with a lot of people, they might, and I don't know if that would work for everyone, because some people might, like, our bodies can get kind of addicted to.
Okay, sugar addiction's like, a real thing.
Yeah, like how what do you...
And it's still something I struggle with.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But also, like, so I wrote a book previous to this one called Weight is Not the Problem, more of a self-help book. And it's a little bit memoir of my eating disorder story, but it's a lot more like a guidebook on how to go through that process. And the last thing that we address in that book is intuitive eating. The whole, like, 12 chapters before that is getting your life into a place where you don't hate your life.
That makes sense.
Because when you're in a good, joyful, peaceful spot and you're okay with emotions that sometimes you're just okay. You're not in a bad relationship. You're not in a bad job. Like, you've really put your life in line. Then you can start working on the food part. But the food part is the symptom. The root cause is all of this other stuff that's going on that's got to be addressed before you can jump into intuitive eating.
That makes so much sense. Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like the eating, like the food addiction, probably addiction to like anything, really is rooted in like, what am I trying to fill that isn't getting
I say addiction
filled.
is like it's like the check engine light on your car. You don't just go like to the mechanic and be like, hey, can you shut this check engine light off? Like, that's what just like white knuckling it through your addiction. Like, I'm just not going to smoke those cigarettes anymore. Like, well, maybe you're using those to calm anxiety. So like, let's actually get under the hood and let's address the anxiety. And then people say, oh, just meditate more and do more yoga. I was like, when they were telling me that, I'm like, I'm a yoga instructor who meditates every day. Like, can you give me a little more help than that? It's not about adding things in sometimes. It's about making changes. Mm-hmm. And so that, for me, what that looked like when I ended my eating disorder, like when I was like, okay, I'm going into intuitive eating, I also at the same time filed for divorce, sold my yoga studio, sold everything I owned, and got in a truck and drove to Mexico where I didn't know anybody and just surfed because it was the only thing making me happy anymore. And I was like, I'll figure the rest of this out. All I know is like surfing's making me happy and the rest of it isn't. So let's just do that for a while.
Yeah.
And I had to wander and figure it out.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's a process.
It's a long, grueling process.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. A lot of days looking in the mirror and going, I hate this body so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And just, the deprogramming it's so challenging because I feel like it's so many layers and layers and layers and layers. And it's like one moment you think you're done and you're like, I've cleared that. Like that cycle's done. And then it just like feels like it hits you with a huge wave of like, oh, okay, I still need to work on this. I still need to figure out how to love every part of myself. And oh, okay, I guess I don't really like this about me. Where is that coming from? And I feel like it's just like, like an ongoing process.
I think of it as like a spiral. So like you're constantly revisiting that, but you're revisiting it in wider and wider arcs.
Yes, I've seen it that way too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't like called it a spiral, but I see it as like circles. Yeah, so it is a spiral. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it feels like to me. And then I have to remind myself, like, my job here on earth is not to fix myself. Because I constantly go back to that mentality of like, let's fix it, let's fix it, let's fix it. My job is to experience it and to be with it and to let that shape me. And so, yeah, I've been really trying recently not to get caught up in this self-help, personal development, change me type of mentality, and just be in the more, I'm surrendered to this process and let me just have the experience I'm having.
Right. Like it's all a journey and you're just going through it. Yeah. My final question for you is, if your son Velzy watches this in 10 years, what is a message that you would like him to hear?
Man, it's hard to say in 10 years what I'm going to want him to hear, but what we've been really working on is exactly what we were just talking about. Like, you are perfect. You are not broken. And when you do something that isn't in line with your values, that feeling of shame is just the feeling of learning. So just be curious about that feeling. And like, we don't need to label behaviors as good and bad. We can just realize that we're all just doing the best that we can. So I really want him to have that sense of self-esteem and confidence as he grows up, that like he's getting it all right. Like if he ever wonders, am I having the experience I'm supposed to be having right now? The answer is always yes. And how do you know? Because you're having that experience. So I just want him to know that life is to be lived, and you don't have to live it from a place of trying to force things and trying to be better all the time, but just, ride your waves. Yeah.
Wow, I love that.
Ride your waves.
Yeah. And where can people buy your book at?
So Amazon is the most popular place to buy it. You just search my name, Melanie Ezell, and Inherited, and it comes up. It's also, my website is just my name, melanieezell.com. My Instagram is yogasurfmel, and you can get all my details through there. Or pretty much anywhere books are sold online, you can get it.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right.
I'm just showing the camera what it looks like. Cool. It's a really beautiful cover, too.
Thank you.
I like the simplicity of it.
Thanks. I had help with design on that. It was fun.
Cool. I love it.
Cool. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so honored. It's such a fun conversation.
Yeah. And thanks for listening, everybody.